The Trees by Jericho Brown. In my front yard live 3 crepe myrtles. Crying trees, we once called them. Not the shadiest, but soothing during a break from work in the heat. Their cool sweat falling into us. I don't want to make more of it. I'd like to let these spindly things be, since my gift for transformation here proves useless now that I know everyone moves the same, whether moving in tears or moving to punch my face. A crepe myrtle is a crepe myrtle. 3 is a family. It is winter. They are bare. It's not that I love them every day. It's that I love them anyway.
Tasha Trethewey on Southern Spaces, and one of the things you mentioned is that you feel more comfortable speaking about race than about sexuality. And you're also working on poems about, if I have this correct, 2 newscasters who died of AIDS in the early years of the AIDS epidemic. Are you attempting to take on that subject matter more explicitly now? Is that something that you're invested in?
Yes. Well, I think I've always been invested in taking on that subject matter in my writing. It's when I was talking to Natasha, I literally meant my mouth. Like I literally meant, like for instance, even last night when I was reading poems, you know, there's a thing that's like, can they handle it? Can they do it? You know, and I start being everybody's. I turn into what I was growing up, which is my parents' parent.
After reading Jericho Brown poem, The Trees, for the first time, I just love the way he talks about his work. The way he uses trees with nature and uses the human as a part of metaphor. This is something that gets past the poetry, in my opinion. With me, I love metaphors. I love poetry is used because it gives another example for readers to understand it. And with me, for me, it's harder to understand poetry. But going back onto the poem, I really enjoy just how much was said in this poem. I love the way it talks about, in my opinion, of someone leaving a household or just a place of in their heart. It could be something as leaving their home, leaving their house, or maybe leaving a situation in their life and moving forward, growing, just how a tree is. And just something about that, it just sits with me. Just how everyone goes through something in life. Everyone has something they go through. And just talking about that, I just love the examples he used. Looking back to right here, how it talks about in the front yard lives 3 crippling or crippling crying trees. And just off of that gives you an example of how this poem starts off. It starts off with maybe a little bit of sorrow, maybe a little bit of they gotta build himself up. And who doesn't like a hero story? Because I surely do. But just looking forward after reading it for the first time, the examples he uses is very, very standable, and just something about it is just very nice. That's my. After 1 week of reading Trees by Jericho Brown, I got to realize a lot about this poem. A lot about a crepe myrtle, which is a type of tree that looks like it's crying. It's a beautiful tree. I got to learn a lot about how Jericho Brown talks about his work. I learned a lot about different points of views he talks about in a lot of in the book tradition. Just many topics that deals with race, sexuality, families, HIV, and just topics that many poetry artists don't talk about. Going back to some of the reasons why I picked Trees and just why I've been sitting through it is Trees just had a good name with the whole nature and just a simple name, nothing that overtops. Everyone knows what a tree is. If you don't, then I'm actually very sorry for you. But just thinking back to the poem, I have it next to me. Just looking over it, some of the things I was just looking at about how it deals a lot about family, and that's probably the point I'm across, and what I'm gonna try to persuade in my point of view is that families need to stay together. I think every family goes through their problems, and I think Jericho Brown in this poem was trying to say that no matter what happens as a family, and with this tree, going back to the career murder tree, it is a tree that looks like a family, if that makes sense. It's spread evenly. It has three parts, kind of like a mom, dad, and a son, daughter, kid, whatever. And it just kind of represents a family. And just by reading it, it talks about how towards the end of the poem, it talks about winter. And during tree season, winter is a time where most trees die down, and and I think that's just an example of brokenness when it comes to families. I think it comes with the ability of what happens to these families. And just like I said, just reading some of the words, a cripple meaty, three is a family, it is winter, they are bare. That is not that I love them every day, it is that I love them anyway. And that just kind of goes to what families go through day in, day out, where they may say stuff, they may do stuff by their actions, but at the end of the day, they're always going to be there. And my point is that I've been seeing nowadays in our culture, in our world, in our society, that we lose family. Every day people die, and you would think stuff like that brings family together, but sometimes it breaks away from family. Sometimes people want to leave families because that's what's brokening. Maybe families don't understand each other, and they don't have a respect for maybe kids talking to their parents, parents talking to their kids, and it's one of those things where, in my opinion, it has to do with your ego. Maybe you're just not taught. Maybe you just don't want to at the end of the day, which is something that I can't control. But just off of reading this poem, it just gives me another reason to stay with my family. It gives me more reason to appreciate family, to love family, and to just have them around. Going sidetrack, I grew up Chicago, Illinois. Mom coming from India. Dad just married my mom, and my mom, she's a big family. She has 6 siblings, including her. My mom being the youngest, and just off of that, having many cousins, families, Christmas events, and it's just crazy. But at the same time, it's so much love and so much support with big families. No, don't disrespect the small families as well, because there is a bond there too. But just having a family, and just with me in my personal life, it's just family's what we have. It's something. It's the one thing I think that no matter what's happening in the world, no matter what's coming around, you can go to family. You can be with family. And obviously, not too long ago was COVID. COVID was a year that people were facing a lot of things in their life. Family was there with them. I know with me, both of my parents went through COVID, and luckily we had family friends that lived 30 minutes away, that still came and dropped food probably at least once a week, of just food. And because my parents weren't able to get it, but like I'm saying, just examples of what family can do. Now, there are times where family can destroy, and that's just something that is a problem to me, but it's also a problem that people can fix. I think everything starts with your heart, your mind, and personally with me, with the Lord Jesus Christ. But that's just a side right there. and just reading this poem, it just falling into us. I don't want to make it more of it, but I like to get spender things since my gifts for transparent here provides. I think that's just an example of you're falling into us, which that's the second part. The first three letters of the second stanza, which is falling into us. I think with families, it's not more like you get to choose. It's just you're here. There's no going back. We're blood. Just very, 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 very crazy, very methodical, very beautiful. What Jericho Brown has been saying in these poems. Just going back to some of the other poems I've been reading, in their tradition, with just how he's able to just talk about, honestly, the things that we don't talk about. And I think as a artist, poetry, writer, he just blows, I think, people's minds off. He's someone that goes through the limits, takes chances, and like I said, award-winning author, award-winning poetry. And like I said, Jericho Brown, The Trees, is a beautiful poem that I have chosen. And